Moving on now from weeds to winterization, and as harvest ends and the temperatures cool down, it's that time of year to make sure your center pivot irrigation system is ready for winter and next year's growing season. University of Nebraska's Troy Ingram stopped by to give us some reminders on what can be done now to save yourself the hassle down the road.
Well, it's important because these are an expensive piece of equipment that we've got sitting out in the field, a very important piece of equipment, especially in Nebraska. We are the #1 irrigated state in the United States, so we do have a lot of irrigation. So it's good that producers can get out there after harvest and take a look at these pieces of equipment while they've got some time possibly.
So in regards to harvest, when should this winterization be done?
Well, right after harvest is as good a time as any to perform this because the crops are out. The guys might have a little bit of time post-harvest to look at this piece of equipment. Some of the things that they may have had trouble with during the season still fresh in their minds, so they can address those issues at that time.
Could you take us step-by-step through the process of winterizing the system?
Well, one of the first things that I like to do is get those pivot tracks filled. Get them filled in the fall. That way they've got all winter to sit there and hopefully firm up a little bit. It also gets that pivot out of those tracks because we do have expansion and contraction that happens within that system with the changing of the temperatures, and that can put stress on the system. So we want to park it outside of those pivot tracks if we can. And then we kind of want to go through the system piece by piece, look at the drivetrain, drain the water off the gearboxes. This is important in the fall because we want to get fresh oil put in those gearboxes to cover the gears and bearings so that condensation doesn't start to form rust on those internal parts. Once we get that done, we want to take a look at the tires, the knuckles, make sure we've got proper air pressure in those tires. And then we can go on and go through the rest of the system. If you're on canal water or have water quality issues, we want to make sure that system's flushed out good. Pull the end caps off, drain the sand traps, make sure the mid drains are working correctly, just so all the water gets out of that system.
And as far as security, what should be done in regards to the pivot?
Well, we want to make sure that the power's turned off to that pivot, make sure the panel boxes are locked out if you can, just to make sure that nobody can get at it, and turn this system on during freezing temperatures. That could actually ice up that center pivot and then possibly tear it down. So just another very important consideration.
And if you have cattle grazing in your field, is there anything different you should do?
Well, not other than protecting the system. We want to make sure that we don't have access for those cattle to get up in there and rub on the system. You know, they can do some damage if they do.
And what else should people do with their pivots to get them ready for winter?
Well, a lot of guys in Nebraska chemigate, so they put a plug on that panel box, and that opens that panel box up for rodents to get in there. So you want to make sure the panel boxes are secure, make sure, you know, we can't get rodents in there to do, you know, damage over the winter time, which they can do.
Most definitely. And where else can people go for more information?
They can go for more information. They can talk to one of their local extension offices. We've got a host of NEB guides addressing center pivot issues, and we've also got several educators out there that specialize in ag water, so they're all good resources.